Our next performance today is by Phoebe Lisle. Phoebe is a 17-year-old junior from Riverside High School in Leesburg, Virginia. She loves photography and making others happy. Phoebe lives with anxiety disorder, bipolar, and depression, and wants to encourage others to share their experiences as well.
When I was little, everyone always told me that my dreams would come true. There was one term to that statement no one mentioned to me. There I was, yet again, in my psychiatrist's office. We seemed to be going through the same routine. Mom said what was different that week. The doctor says the options. The doctor wrote a script for yet another medication. And then we left, same as every other week. We drove over to Walgreens, an almost daily occurrence at the time, and filled my new script, Seroquel. I took the pill that night and felt fine. Let me correct that. Relatively fine. At the time, I was in the middle of 8th grade, and I could not sleep. I had night terrors every night, which is one of the main reasons I was supposed to start on this new medicine. The other reason was that I was anxious to the point of having panic attacks, where I could barely breathe and would be stuttering and feel like I was dying. There's a reason they're called panic attacks. This miraculous medicine was supposed to stop them too. For the first few days, nothing changed, which was to be expected, as the medicine had to get into my system. Then, the 5th morning, when I woke up, something was different. I couldn't pinpoint exactly what was different, but I was not the same. Maybe I had less night terrors that night. I thought to myself hesitantly, maybe this is a better different. Maybe the constant worry will take a break, or panic attacks will stop. Maybe we finally found the right meds, and this foreign feeling is what it's like to be normal. I was way too optimistic. I went to school that morning, and by the end of first block, I'd had 2 panic attacks, more than I'd usually had in a day at the time. Then my case manager, Miss Inquist, suggested I write in my journal, knowing that it had helped in the past. Uncharacteristically of myself, the page was filled in less than 5 minutes. Usually, it takes me at least 10 minutes to write a sentence. It was almost as if someone had taken my hand and written the words for me. I read them, and it wasn't like anything else I'd written in my journal. It was really sad and angry, and it wasn't even in my own handwriting. The scariest part was that I didn't even remember writing any of what was on the page, let alone thinking it. The voice came second block. It was the guy from the night terrors, the guy who hadn't stopped by the night before. He was whispering in my ear with his scratchy, almost drunken voice. I've got a gun. No, this could not, no, you're not real. How could you be here? I panicked to myself inside my head. I slowly and carefully turned around to where he should have been, directly behind my left ear. Nobody. He wasn't there. What just happened? I sat paranoid in class for the rest of the block and the last 2 blocks. I went home, and the voice came back. This time he laughed an evil snicker and told me about the matches he planned on lighting in my family's rooms. I did not sleep the entire night. Instead, I was constantly checking that the green light was on every fire alarm in our entire house, until my parents confined me to my room. I did not let my eyes off the little green dot, and I left my door open so I could smell smoke if our house did catch on fire. The next day, I went to school without any sleep, as I had to protect my house and my family. I made it through 1 block with the man's voice filling my ears, and then I saw him. He was following me down the hallway. I started to run to Miss Inquist's room, and by the time I got there, I told her what was happened. I was in tears. My mom had to pick me up, and Miss Inquist suggested I go back to school or go back to the doctor's office before I go back to school. We called the doctor. With no response from her, after multiple messages and well over a day went by, I was begging, you heard me, begging to be hospitalized. I remember 3 other distinct voices besides the man, along with having constant indistinct muttering in my mind. We finally called the emergency line for my psychiatrist. She told my parents and I, "You should have gone to the ER, not bothered me." It was at that point that we changed psychiatrists. We later found out the reasons for all the voices. First, I was experiencing withdrawal side effects from my former medication. Second, I had not been weaned onto the Seroquel. I was given the full dose, again at the doctor's advice, immediately. Third, I was given a dose that, according to my new psychiatrist, was way too high for any child. I learned on my own what I had not been told when I was younger. Dreams do come true, but nightmares can be dreams too. This experience nearly sent me over the edge. I had already been barely managing, living with bipolar, anxiety, depression, and honestly just fitting in being a teenager. This incident was my breaking point. I know that some people would think of breaking as a bad thing, as if you can't be the same afterwards. I will admit, when I broke, I was not the same. I was different, but not necessarily in a bad way. You see, breaking is similar to a starfish losing a limb. When a starfish loses a limb, it grows a new one back. Starfish doesn't have the same exact limb, but it works. It can still live, and it learned a lesson or two in the process. I am the same and a different person compared to the day I broke. I am the same kind, bubbly, unique Phoebe I was then, although I am different. Since that day, I learned how strong and brave I truly am. Breaking does cause you to change. It hurts like hell in the moment, but more often than not, you learn how strong you are in the process of recovering.